All right, here we go. We're going to start today's section with notes by putting this header on the top, 1-8, solving equations. Our learning target for today is I can, here we go, solve one-step equations similar to what you did in section 7 by multiplying or dividing. All right? Multiplying or dividing. Awesome. That's our learning target for today. So what we had just gone through and checked, and what you did previously in section 7 is you were solving one-step equations, and you were solving them with just adding or subtracting. So today we're moving on and using multiplying or dividing. So let's just review our steps or our rules for solving equations. First is you're always finding where that variable is, whether it's on the left or the right side of the equation. Then you need to get the variable alone. And you have to undo whatever's happening. Now before, we were just using adding and subtracting as the inverse operations for each other. Today, it'll be multiplying and dividing. All right? And the most important thing, for goodness sakes, is check your answer. Don't assume you're always right. When you plug it back in, that's when you really can tell. So, again, our legal moves, especially today, is that you can multiply or divide as long as you do it to both sides of the equation. You have to be fair. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other. All right? And those are your legal moves. So, let's just start right off here. And you're looking at this and you're saying, oh my stars, it's a fraction. Oh, simmer down, simmer down. Fractions are our friends. All right, here's my variable. It's over here on the right, okay? Right now, it's in a fraction with this 3, but remember that the fraction bar just means divide. How do we undo division? We're going to multiply. And specifically, we're going to multiply this side by 3, and I'm going to write it as 3/1 as an improper fraction. Now, you have to be fair and do the same thing over there. So I'm going to write times 3/1 here. Now, what's going on and why on earth would you do this? Well, remember what I've told you about multiplying fractions. You don't need a common denominator. You just make the Arnold Schwarzenegger fraction. In other words, you're thinking, oh, I make the big giant fraction and I'm going to multiply across the top and the bottom. Well, when you do that, j times 3 in the numerator, 3 times 1 in the denominator, we really can simplify this because you see right now, I can divide a 3 out of there and divide this 3 here. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And so I just end up with j/1, which frankly is plain old j. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get j by itself. On this side, I have 3/1 times -8. Now, in this case, since -8 isn't a fraction, it's a nice integer, I'm just going to write it this way and leave my 3 without the 1 underneath. Okay, let those integer rules kick in. 3 times 8 is 24. That gives me the number part of my answer. Positive times negative, if the signs are different, my answer is negative. I get -24. Check. Check, 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 check. Basically, j/3 is what you have to check. And so we got a -24. -24, when I plug that in and divide by 3, I get -8. Is that where I started? Well, yes, sirree. Done. All right, but just go through that physical step. Okay, look at this one. Decimals too? Yes, piece of cake. -4 8/10 equals -6v. Remember that this is really a multiplication here. So, in order to undo multiplying by -6, we're going to divide by -6. I should put my bar under here. I forgot to do that on the first example. Then divide by -6 here, because you've got to be fair and do the same thing over there. Negative divided by negative is positive. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So you just get v, 1v. All right, now the negative divided by negative is going to turn this answer positive. So I'm just going to deal with that right now. I know my answer is positive. What is 4.8 divided by 6? All right, do it the long way. If you can't see it straight in your head, 6 cannot go into 4. So I put a 0 there. Now think of this as 48. Goes in there 8 times, no remainder, 0.8 or 8 tenths, basically. There's your answer. Now, show a quick check. That means you'd come down here and say, well, I'd take negative 6 times 8 tenths. Negative times positive gives me a negative answer because the signs are different. And 6 times 8 is 48, but there was a decimal place in there. And there you go. That's exactly right. All right, let's look at some more. Solve and check. Negative 9 times y equals 126. Here's my equal sign. There's my variable. Since this means multiply, divide both sides by negative 9. Negative divided by negative is positive. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 1 times y is y. So now my variable's alone. Oh, well, let's see. A positive divided by a negative means my answer will be negative. Now just come off to the side and figure out what 126 divided by 9 is. That gives me 3. Bring the 6 down. Hey, that works out perfectly again with no remainder. So I'm done. And I end up with negative 14. Go ahead and run through a quick check. So I say negative 9 times negative 14. Well, negative times negative is positive. And then let's see, 14 times 9, 36, carry the 3, 9 plus 3 is 12. I get 126. Yep, done. All right, look at this one. Oh, b divided by negative 4. Just think of that fraction as division. So what you're going to do is we're going to have to take this whole thing and multiply it by negative 4. And right away, since I see this as a fraction, I'm going to write this as an improper fraction. Be fair, okay, and do the same thing over here. Negative 4 over 1 times 5. Now, the beauty of all this here is you have negative 4 and b in the numerator, because you just make it the uber giant fraction and go straight across the top and bottom. And what happens? The negative divided by a negative is positive, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. And you're just left with plain old b. That's exactly what we wanted. What happens over here? I don't even have to think of this as a fraction. It's negative 4 times 5. You get negative 20. All right, check your answer. Come over here, negative 20 over negative 4, because I'm using this original part of my equation. Negative over negative is positive. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Yep, that's right. All right, you might have some word problems, so let's take a look at this one. To go on a school trip, Helen has raised $670, and that happens to be, or which is, 1/4 of the amount she needs. What's the total amount needed? All right, so let's do some translating here. $670, I'm not going to put the dollar sign right now, and it says that that is where your equal signs go, 1/4 of, meaning multiply, the total amount she needs. Okay, so this is the money. So we'd better say, well, this is what I don't know. M can stand for the money that she needs. 1/4 times this. Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. Here's one way. You can say, well, this means if I make this one giant fraction, this is like m over 1, that I have 1 times m on the top, which is just m, and I have 4 in the numerator. And now my equation looks like this. And I'm simply going to take 670 times 4 because here's my equal sign, teeter-totter or balance bar. And then on this side, I'm going to take m divided by 4 times 4. And here's what happens. The 4 on the numerator divides out the 4 in the denominator, which goes to 1. And then over here, we're going to have to take 670 times 4. 0, 28, carry the 2, 24, 26. All right, so that tells me I get $2,680. Cool. Well, let's see. The other way you could think of this is like this. 670 equals 1/4 times m. Well, how do you undo multiply? You divide. All right, that means I have to divide by 1/4. Divide by 1/4. Oh, wait a minute. Holy Hannah. What on earth is this fraction divided by a fraction? Maybe it would be better to write this with like a division sign. Instead, 1/4 times m, that whole thing divided by 1/4. Same thing over here. 670 divided by 1/4. And here's my equal sign. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. This really means times 4 over 1. This on this side means multiply by 4 over 1. Now, if you don't have that fresh in your head, then just stick with the left side of the equation. But basically, over here you get this giant fraction that has, a 4 in the numerator, a 4 in the denominator, which divide out to be 1, and everything else is a 1. You get m, and you're going to get the same amount of money over here, $2,680. Sweet! So now you can take out your workbook, because what I want you to do is tackle this page. This will be your assignment, your workbook, page 8. Okay, show your work, do a quick check. Good luck. May the force be with you.